Chapter 6. The Pokemon Showcase. The day had finally arrived, and Ash, still trapped in Serena's body, stood backstage, his heart pounding in his chest. He was doing his best to control the nervous energy running through him, but the truth was, he was terrified. Today was the Pokemon Showcase, and despite Serena's patient coaching and all the training they'd done together, he wasn't sure he could pull it off. Battling was one thing, but performing in front of a crowd, in a dress, no less, that was a whole different kind of challenge. Ash took a deep breath and glanced at himself. Serena's reflection, in the mirror, his breath caught in his throat. Serena had chosen the outfit for him, and it was a stunning one, to say the least. A flowing halter dress with a low back that shimmered in the light. The fabric hugged Serena's body in all the right places. The hem of the dress trailed gracefully along the floor. The color was a soft, pastel pink that complemented Serena's skin perfectly. Tiny gemstones were delicately sewn into the fabric, catching the light with every movement. But it wasn't just the dress that had Ash sweating. Serena had insisted that he wear high heels, 5-inch high heels, to be exact. He had practiced walking in them over the last few days, but every step still felt like a balancing act. Then there was the underwear. Ash had never in his life worn anything like it. Delicate, lacy, and far too revealing for his comfort. He could feel it against his skin. It was a constant reminder of just how out of his element he was. Why does she wear this stuff? Ash muttered to himself, tugging at the dress, trying to make it feel less noticeable. It's so complicated. But despite his complaints, he couldn't deny that Serena's body looked stunning in the outfit. The dress clung to her curves. Every time he moved, it felt like the fabric flowed around him like water. It was both empowering and terrifying at the same time. A real Pokemon performer would wear this with confidence, Ash thought, trying to psych himself up. Serena wears outfits like this all the time. She always looks amazing. If she can do it, I can do it too. He glanced over at Brakeson, who was standing by his side, watching him with an encouraging expression. Brakeson had been Serena's partner for a long time, and Ash could see the trust and bond they shared. He didn't want to let Brakeson down, not after all the training they had done together. "Okay, Brakeson," Ash said, his voice shaky but determined. "We've got this. We just have to do what Serena taught us. Stick to the routine, and everything will be fine." Brakeson gave a confident nod, twirling her wand in a burst of flame, as if to say, "We're ready." Ash took another deep breath, trying to calm his nerves. But as soon as he heard the crowd cheering from the stage, his heart skipped a beat. The reality of the situation hit him like a ton of bricks. He was about to perform in front of an entire audience, dressed in Serena's most glamorous outfit, and he couldn't help but feel completely out of place. What if I fall? What if I mess up the routine? What if I ruin everything for Serena? The thoughts swirled in his mind, each one more terrifying than the last. But then he heard a familiar voice, his own voice, actually, coming from the sidelines. "You've got this, Serena." Serena, in Ash's body, called out, her voice full of encouragement. She was standing just off stage, still in Ash's body, giving him a thumbs up. "Just remember what we practiced. You're going to be amazing." Ash nodded, though his stomach was still doing flips. But Serena's words gave him a small boost of confidence. If she believed in him, then maybe, just maybe, he could pull this off. "I can't let her down," Ash thought, clenching his fists. "She's worked so hard for this, and I'm not going to mess it up." The announcer's voice echoed through the arena. calling out the next performer. And now, from Vannyville town, we have Serena and her partner, Breakson. The crowd erupted into cheers, and Ash felt his legs go weak. But there was no turning back now. It was time to take the stage. With a deep breath, Ash stepped forward, wobbling slightly on the high heels, but managing to keep his balance. The dress swished around him as he walked, the gemstones catching the light and sparkling like stars. He could feel the eyes of the audience on him, and his heart raced in his chest. Okay, just remember what Serena taught you, he thought, trying to calm his nerves. Walk gracefully, move with confidence, and focus on the routine. He reached the center of the stage, and the music began to play. Breakson took her place beside him, ready to begin the performance. Ash quickly ran through the routine in his mind. Each movement, each gesture, each interaction with Breakson. He had practiced it over and over again with Serena, and now it was time to put it all into action. The first part of the routine was a series of elegant, flowing movements, almost like a dance. Ash raised his arms, trying to mimic the graceful motions that Serena had shown him. His body moved fluidly, the dress swirling around him as he twirled. The audience gasped in awe as the gemstones on the dress sparkled in the lights. So far, so good, Ash thought, relieved that he hadn't tripped yet. Next came Breakson's part. With a flick of her wand, Breakson summoned a burst of flames, sending them spiraling into the air in perfect synchronization with Ash's movements. The flames danced around them, creating a stunning visual display that had the crowd cheering in excitement. Ash smiled. Serena's smile, feeling a surge of confidence. He was doing it. He was actually doing it. As the routine continued, Ash found himself getting more and more comfortable in Serena's body. The heels didn't feel quite as precarious anymore, and the dress, while still a bit overwhelming, moved with him in a way that felt almost natural. Each step, each twirl, each interaction with Breakson, it all flowed together, just like they had practiced. Maybe I can actually pull this off, Ash thought, his heart swelling with pride. The final part of the routine was the most challenging. Breakson would create a towering pillar of fire, and Ash had to perform a series of complex, graceful movements while weaving through the flames. It was a risky move, but Serena had insisted that it would be the highlight of the performance. Here we go, Ash whispered to himself, taking a deep breath. Breakson raised her wand, and with a flick of her wrist, a column of fire erupted from the stage, roaring to life. The heat was intense, but Ash didn't flinch. He had practiced this. He knew what to do. With the fire swirling around him, Ash began to move, spinning, leaping, and twirling through the flames with a grace that surprised even him. The dress fluttered in the heat, the gemstones sparkling like embers, and the audience was on the edge of their seats, captivated by the spectacle. "Don't mess up! Don't mess up!" Ash chanted in his mind as he executed the final spin, his arms outstretched, the flames swirling around him in a mesmerizing dance. And then, just as the music reached its crescendo, Breakson extinguished the flames with a final flourish, and Ash struck the finishing pose. Arms raised, one leg slightly bent, the dress billowing around him like a cloud. For a moment, there was silence. Ash stood there, his heart pounding in his chest, his breath coming in short gasps. Had he done it? Had he actually pulled it off? Then, the crowd erupted into thunderous applause. Ash blinked in surprise, his eyes wide. The audience was on their feet, cheering and clapping, their faces filled with awe and admiration. "I did it," Ash thought, still in shock. "I actually did it." Braixen gave a triumphant cry, twirling her wand in celebration, and Ash couldn't help but laugh. He had been so nervous, so sure that he would mess everything up, but somehow he had managed to pull off the performance without a hitch. As he stood there, basking in the applause, Ash couldn't help but feel a surge of pride, not just for himself, but for Serena. He had always known she was talented, but now he truly understood just how much effort and skill went into her performances. It wasn't just about looking pretty or wearing a fancy dress, it was about connecting with the audience, putting on a show that would leave them breathless. Serena's amazing, Ash thought, feeling a newfound respect for her. What she does is just as difficult as battling, maybe even harder in some ways. As the applause began to die down, Ash turned and walked off stage, careful not to trip in the heels. His legs were trembling, partly from the adrenaline and partly from the effort of keeping his balance for so long. The moment he stepped backstage, Serena, in his body, was there to greet him, her face beaming with pride. "Serena, that was incredible," she said, keeping up the pretense that they were the other in public, clapping her hands. "You were amazing out there." Ash blushed, feeling a little embarrassed by the praise. I didn't want to mess things up for you." "You didn't," Serena said, her voice softening. "You did everything perfectly. I'm so proud of you." Ash smiled, feeling a warmth spread through his chest. He had been so focused on not failing, on not ruining Serena's chances, that he hadn't stopped to think about how much he had learned in the process. He had gained a whole new appreciation for Serena's world, and in doing so, he had grown in ways he hadn't expected. "Thanks, Serena," Ash said quietly. "I couldn't have done it without your help." Serena grinned, her eyes shining with pride. "You're welcome. But really, you did all of the hard work. You're the one who pulled off that performance." Ash shook his head, still feeling a little dazed by the whole experience. "It was harder than any battle I've ever done," he admitted with a laugh. "I don't know how you do it." Serena laughed too, and for a moment, they just stood there, sharing a quiet moment of understanding. They had both learned so much about each other over the past few days, about their strengths, their weaknesses, and the challenges they faced in their respective worlds. And now, as Ash stood there, still wearing the dress that had once felt so foreign to him, he realized that he had come to appreciate Serena in a whole new way, not just as a friend, but as someone who was truly remarkable in her own right. You know, Ash said after a moment, his voice thoughtful. "I think I understand now. What you do, it's not just about looking good or wearing fancy clothes. It's about connecting with people, making them feel something. It's kind of like battling, but different." Serena nodded, her expression soft. "That's exactly it. And you did that today, Ash. You connected with the audience. They loved you." Ash smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment wash over him. For the first time since the body swap, he felt like he had truly done something right. "Thanks, Serena," he said again, his voice filled with gratitude. "For everything." Serena smiled back at him, her eyes filled with warmth. "You're welcome, Ash. And thank you for understanding."